All right, get this. You sent over a whole bunch of stuff about Seward, Alaska, and wow, I'm so excited about this one. This looks incredible. This is going to be so much more than just like your typical, like, oh, here's a glacier, okay, moving on trip.
Right.
We're talking about, like, from what I'm seeing here, we're talking about dog sledding and epic races and maybe even eating some reindeer.
Oh, yeah.
So are you ready to, like, really dive deep into all this?
I am, definitely. And you're right. A lot of times, Seward kind of gets, like, pigeonholed as just a cruise ship stopover.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more to it than that.
Okay, I'm already hooked.
Yeah.
I did see, though, that it's like a pretty small town. I think it's at under 3,000 people.
Yeah, it's pretty tiny.
So I'm trying to imagine, like, what happens when those cruise ships roll in and suddenly there are thousands more people there. Like, what does that do to the energy of the town?
It's a huge shift. It goes from being this quiet little charming town to just like this bustling center of activity. And it's kind of a mix of locals and tourists all kind of like crowding the streets. It's exciting. There's a buzz in the air for sure.
Wow. Okay, that paints a very vivid picture. And speaking of, like, powerful energy, I'm already blown away by the fact that Kenai Fjords National Park is right there and that it has over 40 glaciers.
It's crazy.
Like, that's not just a park. That's like a whole world of ice.
Yeah, and what's really amazing is they're not just static. Like, they're actively flowing from the Harding ice field.
Okay.
Which is this just massive, massive expanse of ice that's been shaping the Lanternid for thousands of years.
Yeah.
So to see these glaciers like calving into the sea,
Yeah.
hearing that thunderous crack and rumble, it's like a real reminder of the raw power of nature.
You know what? One of the articles mentioned this term tidewater glacier, and I have to admit, I'm not really sure what that means. Like, is that different from just a regular glacier?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a tidewater glacier is essentially a glacier that flows all the way down to the ocean, right?
Okay.
Which makes them particularly spectacular because you can witness these really dramatic moments when chunks of ice break off and crash into the water. It's really something else.
All right. I'm officially adding witness a tidewater glacier to my bucket list.
There you go.
But here's something that surprised me. Orcas, like, they're not just a seasonal visitor in Seward.
Right.
They actually hang out near the coast year-round.
Yeah, they're part of the resident population there. And while you will see more whales, during the spring and summer migrations, like the humpbacks and the minks and the fin whales and even gray whales, they all join the party.
Yeah.
But the orcas are always there.
So even if I don't time my trip perfectly for, like, peak whale season, I still have a chance of seeing those incredible creatures.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's awesome.
And a good pair of binoculars can really make all the difference, as one of the articles mentioned. Whether you're on a boat tour or even just watching from the shore.
Okay, let's talk about activities. I'm already sensing a theme here, so let's start with hiking. What is it about Seward that makes it such a haven for hikers?
Well, first of all, just the sheer variety of trails. You have everything from like really easy trails that are like right near town, like the Lost Lake Trail,
Okay.
all the way up to much more challenging hikes like the Exit Glacier Trail, which takes you, right up to the face of a glacier.
Wow. I bet that view is worth the effort.
Oh, incredible.
And I see here that the infamous Mount Marathon Trail is nearby, too. Now that's a whole other level of intensity.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Mount Marathon is like notoriously difficult. It's very steep, it's very rocky, and it's actually the course for an annual race that happens every 4th of July.
Okay.
And it's really a sight to behold.
Wow.
But even for those who are hardcore athletes, there are plenty of amazing hikes to choose from.
Okay, so we've got easy trails, we've got challenging trails, we've got glacier trails.
Right.
What about something a little different? I'm curious about kayaking in Seward. What is it like to paddle through those, like, icy waters?
Picture this. You're in a kayak, you're gliding through the fjords, surrounded by these towering cliffs and glaciers. The water's so clear you can see right down to the bottom. The air is crisp and clean.
Wow.
It's just a completely different way to experience the beauty of Seward. And it's surprisingly peaceful.
Okay, I'm getting chills just thinking about that.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing, kayaking in Alaska probably requires a little bit more planning and awareness than, say, kayaking, in a lake back home.
Oh, for sure. For sure. You're absolutely right. And one thing that's really crucial to keep in mind, especially when you're kayaking around glaciers, is safety.
Okay.
Because those glaciers can calve unexpectedly, creating large waves.
Yeah.
And it can become a little bit dangerous. So that's why it's often recommended to go with a guided tour, especially if you're not super familiar with kayaking in that kind of environment.
That's a good tip. And now, for those of us who love a good fish tale, how's the fishing in Seward?
It's fantastic. I mean, one of the articles that you sent over was talking about grilling your catch over a campfire under the Alaskan sky. Like, how amazing is that?
That sounds pretty dreamy.
It does.
But seriously, what kind of fishing opportunities are we talking about here?
Well, Seward is known for its abundance of salmon, both in the rivers and out in the ocean. You've also got trout in the rivers, halibut, and rockfish in the deeper waters.
Okay.
I mean, it's really an angler's paradise.
And I see here that you can even go deep sea fishing, like for some truly impressive catches. Now, I'm no expert angler or anything, but I can just picture myself reeling in like a giant halibut and then bragging about it for years to come.
Right.
Like, come on, who wouldn't do that?
Well, you never know. You might get lucky. And who knows, you might even see a whale or two while you're out there.
Okay, I'm officially hooked on Seward, but one more thing before we move on.
Okay.
Dog sledding. Tell me, like, what's the allure
Yeah.
of racing through the Alaskan wilderness with a team of huskies? Is it really as magical as it sounds?
It's even more magical than you can imagine. But here's something interesting. Dog sledding in Seward is not just a winter activity.
Oh.
Those dogs need to train year-round.
Yeah.
And that means that you can actually experience, the thrill of mushing no matter when you visit.
Wait, hold on. So you're telling me I could go dog sledding in, like, July?
You got it.
That just blows my mind. Like, I was picturing this as a purely, like, snowy winter wonderland kind of experience.
That's the beauty of Seward. It defies expectations.
Yeah.
And yeah, while a winter dog sledding adventure definitely has its own unique charm, there's something really special about racing through the forests and mountains under the summer sun. It's totally different.
Okay, I need a minute to process all of this incredible outdoor adventure.
Take your time.
But maybe it's a good time to transition to something a little more laid back. Like, after a day of hiking or kayaking, I bet you'd be in the mood to explore Seward's charming downtown area and those local markets that we were talking about.
For sure. Yeah.
So let's do that. What kind of treasures can we find in these local markets? Is it mostly touristy stuff, or is there a real sense of local artistry and craftsmanship?
Oh, it's definitely the latter.
Yeah.
One of the articles you shared, it highlighted the Saturday market at Branson Pavilion, and it sounds amazing. Imagine strolling through all these stalls filled with handmade crafts, unique jewelry, artwork inspired by the Alaskan landscape.
Okay, you had me at handmade crafts. I am such a sucker for, like, unique, locally made souvenirs. And I see here that there's also fresh seafood at the market.
Yeah, they have it all.
That's dangerous for my wallet and my waistline.
It is. And they even have live music, too, so it's not just shopping. It's a whole experience.
Okay, so we've got stunning landscapes, we've got thrilling activities, and now charming markets.
Right.
What about the food scene in general? What makes Seward's culinary experience unique?
Well, for starters, you've got this incredible emphasis on fresh, local ingredients. We're talking seafood caught that day, wild game like reindeer. It's a real celebration of Alaskan bounty.
Okay, this whole reindeer on my plate thing, I'm intrigued. But what about something a little bit more traditional, like seafood? Like, what kind of salmon dishes are we talking about here?
Oh, they have everything from classic grilled salmon to more unique preparations like smoked salmon chowder, salmon baked with local berries.
Oh, wow.
It's really something. And let's not forget the king crab. Seward is famous for its king crab, and you'll find it on menus all over town.
All right, I'm officially starving. This is making me want to book a flight right now.
Well, hold on just a second, because there's one more aspect of Seward that we need to explore, and that is its rich and captivating history.
Oh, yeah, bring on the history. Because I always find that understanding a place's past adds a whole new layer of appreciation to the present. So what kind of stories does Seward have to tell?
Well, for one, Seward has a fascinating indigenous history. The area was inhabited by the Sigpiak people for centuries before European arrival. Then you have the stories of Russian fur traders, gold prospectors, the impact of the 1964 earthquake. It's a real tapestry of cultures and events that have shaped Seward into the town it is today.
Wow, I had no idea about the earthquake. Like, what was the impact on the town?
It was devastating. The earthquake caused massive tsunamis that destroyed much of the waterfront and the harbor.
Oh, wow.
But what's truly inspiring is how the community came together to rebuild and recover.
Yeah.
There's a real sense of resilience and strength in Seward's history.
That's incredibly powerful. I'm sensing a theme here, like resilience, strength, connection to the land.
Yeah.
It seems like these are, like, deeply ingrained in Seward's identity.
Absolutely. And you see those themes kind of manifesting themselves
Yeah.
in everything from the town's architecture to the festivals they have, the stories people share, the way they interact with nature.
Okay, I am completely captivated by Seward's story, but I'm also realizing that we haven't even touched on some of the major events that take place here. Like,
Right.
we've got to talk about the Mount Marathon race.
Oh, yeah. Let's get into that. I think you'll be fascinated by what you learn. It's more than just a race. The Mount Marathon race, it's like a real reflection of Seward's spirit.
All right, I'm ready. Lay it on me. What makes it so special? I mean, I'm picturing something pretty intense based on what I've read so far.
It is intense. It's really intense. Like, picture this. Athletes scrambling up the side of a mountain, over 3,000 feet of elevation gain, and then back down again. And it's only a 5K.
Wow, that sounds incredibly grueling. No wonder it's become so legendary. But I'm kind of curious about the history behind it. Like, how did this race even come to be?
Well, one of the articles you sent mentioned that it all started as a bet, like way back in 1908. Really? A bartender bet a group of sailors that they couldn't run to the top of Mount Marathon and back in under an hour.
Wow.
And so from this, really simple challenge, a tradition was born.
I love that. Like, it's amazing to think that something so iconic grew out of a casual bar bet. But I have to ask, has anyone ever actually met that 1-hour challenge?
Believe it or not, the current record is just over 41 minutes.
You're kidding me. That's insane.
It is pretty wild. And it just goes to show, the level of athleticism and dedication that goes into this race. It draws runners from all over the world who are eager to test their limits against this super challenging course.
Speaking of testing limits, one thing that really captured my attention was, the mention of a helicopter tour landing on a glacier.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, come on. I have to know more about that.
It's an experience that's hard to put into words. Yeah. Just imagine the sheer scale of a glacier. The icy blue crevasses, the feeling of standing on something so ancient and powerful. And a helicopter tour allows you to, not only witness all of that beauty from above, but then actually step foot on that frozen landscape.
Okay, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. But I'm curious, for someone who's never actually been in a helicopter before, what is it like to fly over Seward's landscapes? Is it scary? Is it exhilarating?
It's both, honestly. There's that moment when you lift off the ground and the whole world just shrinks beneath you. It's breathtaking. And as you soar over the mountains, glaciers, forests, you get this incredible sense of freedom and perspective.
Okay, that sounds amazing. I think I'm starting to understand why helicopter tours are such a popular thing to do in Seward.
Yeah.
It's like a way to experience the landscape on a whole other level.
Exactly. And there are different types of tours you can choose from depending on your interests and your budget. Some focus solely on the scenic views, while others include landings on glaciers or in remote wilderness areas.
Okay, so we've got the iconic race. We've got the thrilling helicopter tours. Now I'm kind of craving some of that local charm we were talking about.
Okay.
Those markets, they sound like the perfect place to just soak up the atmosphere and maybe find a unique souvenir or two.
For sure. And while the Saturday market is definitely a highlight, there are other smaller shops and galleries scattered throughout Seward where you can find, handmade crafts, local artwork, all sorts of unique treasures.
As we're talking about this, I'm realizing that Seward seems to have a really strong sense of community.
Yeah.
Do the locals embrace tourism? Or is there a bit of a divide there?
From what I've gathered from the articles, it seems like the community is actually quite welcoming to tourists, which makes sense, I mean, tourism plays such a vital role in Seward's economy. But there's also this really strong sense of pride in their local heritage and this desire to preserve Seward's unique character.
I appreciate that. It's always nice to visit a place where you feel welcomed and appreciated rather than just another tourist passing through.
Right, exactly.
And it sounds like that welcoming atmosphere extends to the dining scene as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, the food. I'm still dreaming about those salmon dishes and the possibility of trying reindeer for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
What would you say are some must-try local specialties?
Well, besides the salmon and reindeer, you absolutely have to try the king crab.
Okay.
Seward is known for its fresh, succulent king crab, and it's an experience you just don't want to miss.
Okay, I am making a note of that. King crab it is.
All right.
But let's talk atmosphere for a minute. What is it like to dine out in Seward? Is it all fancy restaurants, or are there more casual, down-to-earth options as well?
You'll find a mix of both, really. There are definitely upscale dining establishments with stunning views and white tablecloth service, but there are also plenty of casual pubs, cafes, seafood shacks where you can just enjoy a delicious meal without breaking the bank.
Okay, that's good to know. I like to have options. But, one thing I am curious about is the whole wild game aspect of the cuisine. Like,
Mhm.
is it common for locals to, hunt and fish for their own
Oh,
food?
yeah, absolutely. Hunting and fishing are so deeply ingrained in Alaskan culture. And it's not uncommon for people to have freezers full of wild game and fish that they've caught themselves.
Wow. See, that's so different from my experience. I'm imagining the flavor must be incredible, just knowing that the food came straight from the source.
It's a connection to the land that you don't find everywhere. And it's something that chefs in Seward really embrace, showcasing the freshest, most local ingredients possible.
As we're talking about this, I'm getting this sense that Seward is a place that truly embodies like the spirit of Alaska.
Hmm.
It's rugged, it's adventurous, it's connected to nature in a way that's hard to find
You're
elsewhere.
hitting the nail on the head. Seward is a place where you can truly escape the hustle and bustle of everyday life and reconnect with something bigger than yourself.
Okay, I'm sold.
Hmm.
But I'm realizing we haven't talked much about Seward's history beyond the earthquake. What are some of the key historical landmarks or sites that visitors should check out?
Well, one place that comes to mind is the Seward Community Library and Museum.
Okay.
It's a great place to kind of delve into the town's history from its indigenous roots to its role as a transportation hub during the Gold Rush era. They've got all these fascinating exhibits and artifacts that really bring the past to life.
Okay, I'm adding that to my list. Museums are always a great way to get a deeper understanding of a place.
Right.
But what about something a bit more like experiential? Is there a way to, kind of step back in time and feel what it was like to live in Seward in its early days?
One thing that might appeal to you is a stroll through the historic downtown area. A lot of the buildings date back to the early 20th century.
Mm.
And you can really feel the history as you walk past these charming storefronts and you imagine what life was like back then.
Okay, I love that idea. A historical walking tour sounds right up my alley.
And while you're downtown, be sure to check out the Founders Monument. It's a tribute to the pioneers who helped to establish Seward, and it offers some really stunning views of Resurrection Bay.
Okay, I'm getting the sense that there's a lot more to Seward than meets the eye. It's not just about the glaciers and the wildlife.
Right.
It's a place with layers of history, culture, community that are just waiting to be explored.
Exactly. And that's what makes it such a rewarding destination. There's something for everyone here, from the adventure seeker to the history buff to the foodie.
Well, I'm feeling incredibly inspired to dig deeper into all that Seward has to offer. I'm starting to understand why you said earlier that it's a place that truly embodies the spirit of Alaska.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
Okay, my head is spinning with all these incredible Seward experiences we've talked about.
Yeah.
We've gone from like scaling mountains to soaring through the skies. We've explored charming markets and delved into the town's history.
That's a lot.
I'm feeling a little bit like I need a compass to navigate all this awesomeness.
Well, that's the beauty of a deep dive.
Yeah.
We're uncovering layers upon layers of what makes Seward so special. But you're right, sometimes it does help to kind of zoom in and focus on those key experiences that really capture the essence of a place.
Totally. So if you had to choose just one quintessential Seward experience, like the one thing someone absolutely cannot miss, what would it be?
For me, it has to be a boat tour of Kenai Fjords National Park.
Okay.
It's an experience that just encapsulates everything that makes Seward so captivating. You've got the glaciers, the wildlife, the sheer scale and grandeur of the Alaskan landscape. It's all there.
I'm already picturing those massive glaciers, maybe a playful seal popping its head up to say hello.
Oh, you'll likely see far more than seals. These boat tours are renowned for their wildlife viewing opportunities. Think humpback whales, breaching sea otters frolicking among the kelp forests, puffins perched on rocky cliffs. It's a true wildlife lover's paradise.
All right, you're speaking my language. I've always dreamed of seeing whales in their natural habitat, and from what I've read, Seward seems like the perfect place to make that dream a reality.
It really is. And what's so unique about the boat tours in Kenai Fjords is that they take you right up close to those tidewater glaciers. You'll hear the ice cracking, see massive chunks calving into the water. It's a truly humbling and awe-inspiring experience.
Awe-inspiring. I'm sensing a theme here. It seems like Seward has a way of reminding us of the power and beauty of the natural world.
It does, and it's something that stays with you long after you've left.
Okay, so we've covered the must-do boat tour. My stomach is rumbling now, so let's talk food.
Okay.
What's the dining experience like in Seward? Where can I find those mouth-watering salmon dishes and maybe even try some reindeer?
Well, as we touched on earlier, Seward's culinary scene is all about fresh local ingredients. And you'll find that reflected in everything from casual seafood shacks to more upscale dining establishments.
I'm picturing like waterfront restaurants with stunning views, a cozy pub with a fireplace. What's the vibe like?
Yeah, there's a real mix of atmosphere, so you can find whatever suits your mood. But one thing that many of the restaurants have in common is that focus on showcasing the best of Alaskan cuisine.
Okay, so let's get specific. What are some dishes that just scream Seward? What should I absolutely not miss?
Well, I'd say you can't go wrong with any of the salmon preparations, grilled, smoked, baked in a chowder.
Yeah.
You name it, they've got it. And if you're feeling adventurous, I highly recommend trying the reindeer.
I'm definitely up for trying reindeer. What's
Yeah.
the best way to experience it? Is it a steak? A sausage? I'm picturing something like hearty and flavorful.
You'll find it prepared in all sorts of ways. Reindeer sausage is popular, as is reindeer stew. And some restaurants even offer reindeer burgers or steaks.
Okay, my culinary bucket list is growing by the minute. But beyond specific dishes, what's the best way to like really experience Seward's food scene, like a local?
My advice, head downtown and explore, chat with the locals, ask for recommendations, and don't be afraid to try something new.
I love that there's nothing quite like getting those insider tips from people who know the area best.
Exactly. And speaking of local experiences, I know you're fascinated by the Mountain Marathon race, even if you're not a runner. It's an event worth witnessing firsthand.
We did talk about that, but I'd love to like delve a little deeper into what makes it so special. It's more than just a race, right? It
Yeah.
seems like it's deeply intertwined with the spirit of Seward itself.
Absolutely. It's a testament to human endurance, a celebration of community, and a tradition that's been passed down for generations.
You know, one detail that really struck me was the mention of the chute, this incredibly steep and treacherous section of the course. It
Oh,
sounds absolutely terrifying.
Oh, it's basically this near vertical drop that requires incredible skill and agility to navigate safely. And it's just one of the many challenges that make the Mount Marathon race so unique.
Wow, I can't even imagine, but I can see how witnessing this event would be an unforgettable experience. It's not just about watching people run up a mountain, it's about witnessing the determination, the resilience, the sheer grit that it takes to conquer this challenge.
You've hit the nail on the head. It's about pushing boundaries, embracing adventure. It's about pushing boundaries. And those are all qualities that are deeply woven into the fabric of Seward itself.
This deep dive has been incredible. Seward has gone from like a place on a map to a destination that's calling my name. It's amazing how much this little Alaskan town has to offer, from breathtaking glaciers and incredible wildlife to unique cultural experiences and a thriving food scene.
It's a place that captures the imagination and leaves a lasting impression.
I think what resonates with me the most is Seward's sense of place. It's a town that's so deeply connected to its natural surroundings, its history, and its community. It's a place where you can slow down, breathe in the fresh air, and truly appreciate the beauty of the world around us.
Beautifully said, and with so much to see and do, what aspect of Seward calls to you the most?
That's a great question. I think for me, it's the combination of adventure and natural beauty. I'm already dreaming of kayaking through those fjords, witnessing a glacier calving up close, and maybe even catching a glimpse of a whale breaching in the distance.
It sounds like an incredible trip is in your future.
I think so, and I know just where to start my research, all the fantastic articles and resources that inspired this deep dive. A huge thank you to our listeners for sharing their knowledge and passion for Seward. It's been an absolute pleasure exploring this incredible destination with you.
Until our next deep dive, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those travel dreams alive.